What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, rise up. Everybody in that brotherhood. I hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. I do want to come at y'all with some Atlanta Falcons news. And also, I want to also hit on a quick post-game show of Sunday's game against the Tennessee Titans. First thing on Atlanta Falcons news, as you well know, a couple days ago, we did go ahead and trade Duke Riley to the Philadelphia Eagles, linebacker, and we went ahead and picked up from the Philadelphia Eagles safety Jonathan Cyprien. And I do like the pickup just because we did lose Keanu Neal again to a season-ending injury. He did tear his Achilles, and he won't be back until next season. So I hope his rehab and everything is going well. His surgery, I hope that everything is going well with him and his family. But we do have to move forward, and I do like us bringing in Jonathan Cyprien. I don't know too much about Jonathan Cyprien. I have seen him play before when he was playing with the Jaguars. And I did go look up some of his stats, and it does look like he's had over 100 tackles in a season, like twice with the Jaguars earlier in his career. And last year he played with the Tennessee Titans, and he looks like he's a pretty solid player. He is a box safety, meaning he plays like another linebacker in the box to come up in the run game and run support, make tackles and things of that nature, similar to what Keanu Neal does for the Atlanta Falcons. Not saying he's going to fill the shoes of Keanu Neal, because that's big shoes to fill, because to me, when Keanu Neal is healthy, he's probably the top strong safety in the league, if not top 3 in the league, definitely. So with that being said, Duke Riley, I didn't really mind him being traded because he was not playing on defense anyway. He wasn't really getting any snaps. He basically was just a special teams player at this point. And he never really figured out a role on his team. Dan Quinn never really found a role for him. And it was mainly, I think, because of Duke Riley. You know, he did get early playing time when we drafted him, and he continued to struggle in coverage and struggle with making tackles. You know, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into last week's game against the Tennessee Titans. We now do sit at 1-3. As the Atlanta Falcons and our Atlanta Falcons. And it's not time to panic yet, as I always tell you fans. It's not time to panic. We still have 12 games left. But what I will say is we must win this game Sunday against the Houston Texans in Houston. We must win this. This is a must-win game. I don't like to call games must-win, but this is a must-win because we are now in last place in our division, and other teams are picking up traction. We got the Saints, they continue to win. They won again on Sunday against the Cowboys. So now they sit at 3-1. The Panthers won in Houston. And they are now 2-2. And they won with a backup quarterback. So that's a reason why I'm saying we definitely should win this game. It's no excuses. If they can go in without Cam Newton, with Kyle Allen as their quarterback, and beat the Texans, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be able to go in and do it. And then the Buccaneers had an impressive victory going to L.A. and beating the Rams, who were in the Super Bowl last year for the NFC. So, and they dropped 55 points on them. So they look like they're ready to play and that they're going to be serious this year. So we have to start winning some of these games, y'all. It's not going to be enough just to go in and say, well, we're going to beat all the NFC teams, because even if we win our NFC games, which is not guaranteed and not realistic to believe that we're going to win every single NFC game we play down the stretch. If these teams that, our teams in our division continue to beat AFC teams and we continue to lose them, it's not going to really make a difference because they're going to end up having a better record. Like if we split with one of these teams that beat the team that we didn't beat in the AFC, we're going to be on the outside looking in of the playoffs, or we're not going to be able to win the division. So we definitely going to have to pick it up. So like I said, we are in last place right now. As Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are. So now it's not time to cry. It's not time to put our heads down or hold our heads down as Falcon fans or as Falcon players. It's time for us to step up to the plate. It's time for the adjustments to be made. Like I said in my last video, it's time for us to rise up. It's time for us to see what we really are made of. Like, you find out what you're really made of in adversity. We're now facing adversity with being out 1-3. So it's time for us to show what type of team that we are. Are we going to actually fold and give up? Are we going to keep fighting back? Are we going to rise to the occasion and do our jobs? So, with that being said, this game against the Titans last Sunday, I was going to do a video right after the game, but I was just too ticked off after the game on Sunday because the team really disappointed me. For us to go into allow the Tennessee Titans to come in, who was on a 2-game losing streak, to come into our dome or our home and beat us at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It was no reason why they should have been able to walk right into our stadium, and they beat us, and they made it look pretty easy. So, with that being said, I'm not going to be on here too long, but I'm going to go ahead and just break down a couple things that I noticed in the last game. As you know, like I stated, we did not play well in all 3 phases. So I'm not going to place blame on this game of coaching. I'm not going to blame it on the defense. I'm not going to blame it on the offense. I'm not going to blame it on special teams because all 3 phases had a part in this loss. The special teams, Matt Bryant missed a field goal, and he hardly ever missed field goals. On the defensive end, we continue with the penalties again. Holding, personal foul penalties. Same thing on the offense. Holding penalties. Alex Mack losing his composure and jumping on top of a player after the play. Just a bunch of uncharacteristic stuff going on. So you guys can comment below after on this video of what you think is going on with this team. Personally, I think we're just making too many mental mistakes. We're not executing. And I don't know if that's just coaching, because technically some people could say there's coaching. Personally, I believe it's just the players not executing. I don't believe it's all coaching. Some of it is coaching. As far as the offensive play calling, I feel like some of that is coaching. But in the penalties, I just feel like the penalties right now are so up and down, because on one of the plays, they called like a holding on Austin Hooper. And on the telecast, Adam Archuleta was like, man, I don't even think that was a holding call. That was like a game. Like he said, he didn't agree with the call. It was a controversial call. So we have to continue to play no matter if we're getting penalties or not. We just have to do a better job at the penalties that we can control, like jumping off sides, like jumping early on the offensive line, the personal foul penalties that we're getting. Those kind of penalties has to stop. The holding on punt returns and kickoff returns, which I feel like on the punt returns, this game, it did look a lot better. I don't believe we had any of those holding calls on the punt return. If we did, I don't remember any this last game. So at least they cleaned that up a little bit. But far as changes that need to be made, like I'm not on the camp or in the camp with the Atlanta Falcons fans that say fire Dan Quinn. I don't believe we should fire Dan Quinn in the middle of the season. That's just me personally. What I feel like we should do is we should give Dan Quinn to the end of the season to see if he can turn it around. If he doesn't turn it around and we have a losing season, then it's fair game. I won't try to protect Dan Quinn anymore. I would say, okay, it's fair game. Go ahead and do what Arthur Blank, do what you feel is best. But I do think that we owe it to Dan Quinn to at least give him a chance to try to right the ship, because he did lead this team to a championship. He has had, I believe, 3 winning seasons. His first season, he was 8-8. The second season, we was 11-5 when we went to the Super Bowl. The next season, which was last year, I believe, we was 7-9. So he's had a couple winning seasons. Maybe not 3 winning seasons, but he had, I believe, 2 winning seasons and one losing season. So, and he's only missed the playoffs as a head coach 1 time, well, 2 times, because the first year we were 8-8. So I feel like Dan Quinn, his seat should be getting warm. As I said in my last video, I don't necessarily think his seat is hot yet. I don't believe the seat will become hot until we're kind of out of the playoff picture. Once we're out of the playoff picture, his seat is going to be boiling hot, meaning he's on his way out the door. Like if come week 10 through the week 16, if we're like still sitting at 1-7 or something crazy where we're like out of the playoff pictures by the numbers already, then at that point I feel like Dan Quinn is going to be in trouble, or he's going to be let go, and the writing's going to be on the wall. But right now, I don't feel like the writing's on the wall. I think he has time, but he has to make the proper adjustments and the changes. Now, in my last video, which was my keys to victory for this game, we didn't follow any of those keys to victory. I stated in the last video, we need to start off fast. We didn't start off fast. We continue to put ourselves in these huge deficits going in the second half. Down 17, down 10, down 21 points. Like, you can't expect to win an NFL game if you're turning the ball over, if you're getting penalties, and you're falling behind in double digits every single week. You can't continue to do that. When you fall behind like that, you make it that much tougher on yourself, and you basically give your offense and your defense zero margin of error for the second half if you do that. So in this next game, we must start off fast, as I was stating before. Now, I did like some of the changes that I seen out of Dan Quinn on this defense. One of the changes he made, I seen that, like I stated in my last video, he let Casey move back to the safety position for some plays, on the coverage plays. And him and Ricardo Allen was back there doing their thing. As far as Kamal Ishmael, he played decent, but I'm glad that we just picked up Jonathan Cyprien, because that shows me that Dan Quinn is not trying to sit back, and I feel like Dan Quinn at this point is a little bit desperate. Excuse me, y'all. Grab some water real quick. All right. My mouth was dry. Sorry, y'all. But like I said, I like that Dan Quinn is not sitting back and just saying, well, we're going to ride it out with Kamal Ishmael. No, he's bringing in Jonathan Cyprien to try to mask some of the injuries and try to replace Keanu Neal, because he's seen that Kamal Ishmael is not the answer. Also, Devondre Campbell, I talked about him in the last video. He did look a little bit better in this last game. He did make key tackles. He did look he was coming downhill. They did a pretty good job in the first half of bottling up Derrick Henry. It just looked like the defense got worn out after a while. But one thing that I can say that I didn't like in this game was poor tackling. I don't know how many times I've seen poor tackling and poor technique on defense. Isaiah Oliver, I said I was going to give him 8 weeks. I don't know if I'm going to still give him 8 weeks to get it together. I might shorten that down to like 6 weeks. And then it might be time to give Kendall Sheffield and Jordan Miller a chance to play outside, because Isaiah Oliver, on that one play where he just whiffed, and I think he was guarding, I don't think it was A.J. Brown at the time. I think he was guarding Corey Davis, where Mariota threw it to the sideline. He tried to swipe the ball and missed the ball, and the guy just basically caught the ball on the sideline and ran right in the end zone, and it made it look easy. Like, Isaiah Oliver has to work on his technique. He has to get better on his technique, because right now teams are just picking on him. They're throwing the ball at him a lot of these plays, because they realize that he's suspect right now. But I can't even just get on him, because in this game, Desmond Trufant didn't play well either. A.J. Brown had 2 touchdown catches on Trufant. The one when they threw it towards the back of the end zone, or towards the end zone, and he caught it and ran in towards the right corner of the end zone. And then there was another play where he caught like almost a post route, and he juked like 4 or 5 Atlanta Falcon defenders, which one of them was Desmond Trufant, that took a bad angle on the tackle, and he was gone. A.J. Brown, we made A.J. Brown look like a Pro Bowl wide receiver on Sunday. He had like 2 touchdowns for like 100-some yards. So we must tighten up this defense. On offense, we must start off faster. I keep saying that. And we must come up with scheme up better plays on this offense. Dirk Cutter, I want to see some more imagination out of this offense. Stop taking out Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and Calvin Ridley on key conversions. On 4th down, stop taking them off the field. I don't care, even when we're in the red zone. Stop taking them off the field and putting in 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends and putting in extra blockers. No. When we're in the red zone, we need to have our playmakers on the field. I wouldn't even mind seeing more Mohamed Sanu on the goal line running the Wildcat, because Mohamed Sanu is a big guy and it's hard to bring him down. So even if you want to start running some of those plays in the red zone, I would be fine. I would be fine with that over just continuously relying on trying to beat your man one-on-one and we're just going to run the ball up the middle. Because it was on those fourth down conversions, the play calling was atrocious. Let's be honest about it. The play calling was atrocious this past Sunday, especially on those fourth down conversions. On the one play where it was 4th and 1 on the first fourth down conversion, they had Mohamed Sanu and the Wildcat. The Tennessee Titans called a timeout, and then when we came back from commercial break, we decided, okay, let's take Mohamed Sanu and the wide receivers off the field, and let's put all of our tight ends on the field, and let's put our jumbo package, put our fullback in, and try to just cram it up the gut for 1 yard. When we know that our team is small and we were getting beat in the trenches. So if you're getting beat in the trenches, why would you try to run the ball on the fourth down right up the middle? If anything, you should try to throw a toss or do some type of quarterback sneak. I'd rather you quarterback sneak, because your chances of picking up a quarterback sneak is higher than going in the backfield and handing the ball off 3 yards or 2 yards behind the back, behind the line of scrimmage. Where if you right under center, all you have to do is tell Alex Mack and your guards to go right at, go get lower than the defensive line and basically push ahead and go ahead and just quarterback sneak for that yard. So it was just bad play calling all the way around on Dirk Cutter's part. On the defensive side, when it comes to play calling, Dan Quinn needs to start bringing more pressures. Like I told y'all, I watch a lot of football games. I don't just watch the Atlanta Falcons game. If you watch the game Sunday night with the Saints and the Cowboys, I don't like the Saints at all. By no stretch of the imagination. I don't like the Cowboys at all. But one thing I can say about the Saints know that their secondary is suspect. So what do they do to help their players play aggressive and try to throw off the timing of the offense? They bring pressure. They blitz. They bring more than just their front four. They bring their linebackers on blitzes. They bring cornerbacks on blitzes. Prime example, at the end of the game, when Dak Prescott thought he was going to throw a Hail Mary, they brought a cat blitz. So a cornerback came and hit Dak right in the mouth. He couldn't even throw the ball to the end zone on that last play for that last Hail Mary. But like I said, the play calling has been atrocious on offense and on defense. We must do a better job at starting off faster on offense and defense. We must stop these bad penalties, the offside penalties, the false start penalties, the holding penalties, the pass interference plays. I believe they said we had like 42 penalties or something. We like one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to penalties. So we basically are just giving up yards and giving up points. So we have to do a better job at hunkering down, playing your technique, and doing the right thing. Stop holding and start believing in yourselves. Start having some confidence. Because right now, to be honest, like I told you, all three phases played bad. I feel like mentally, the team is just defeated mentally. But once you have one good game, that's what I said, if we can beat the Texans, all we need is one win so we can tie it to another win. But you must get a win, because at this point, the players are getting frustrated. The players are starting to doubt what the coaches are teaching them, because if you're not winning and you're getting blown off the field by everybody, you start to second guess yourself. You start to second guess everything. You start to second guess your coaching. You start to second guess your technique, which you kind of should second guess it. But we must do a better job at the coaches of enforcing technique, teaching them what technique you want them to play. The players must know and go watch film on the players that you're playing against. And the players must continue to improve. Like I said, out of Isaiah Oliver, I said I was going to give him at least a half the season, so 8 games, because he's a new starter on this team. But what I can't excuse is busted coverages and stuff like that that's been going on within this first quarter of the season. We must correct that in this second half of the season, or the second quarter of the season. No more turnovers, and we need to really go on a win streak, because being that we're under 500 and we're 1-3, we're in last place in our division. So we're going to have to start winning these games. Like I said, Sunday is a must-win game. There's no way around it. We must win on Sunday against the Texans, and it starts there. If we can beat the Texans, then we have a chance of doing some things. because we can start tying some wins together, and then hopefully some of these teams in our division will lose some games. But we have to beat these teams that the Saints are beating, and the team that the teams that the Panthers are beating. We have to be able to beat these teams. We have to be able to beat these teams, y'all. If they winning with their backup quarterbacks, we got to be able to win with our starting quarterback. It just looks like a lot of it is coaching, because I know with the Saints, they just coached a great game. And a lot of these teams, if you look at it, the Panthers, Ron Rivera, I've never been a big Ron Rivera fan, but they know the style that they're going to play. You know how the Panthers play. They're giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey. They're running the ball, and they're playing solid defense. And they're going to stop the run. You know what the Panthers bring to the table. With the Saints, you know what the Saints are going to do. The Saints are going to pressure you. They always been suspect in their secondary, but you know that they're going to bring pressure, and they're going to play very fast, and they're going to play physical, which is our mantra. But on Sunday night, they played very physical against the Cowboys. They didn't get them inch of space. They were up in their face. Their cornerbacks was up in their guys, their receivers' faces. Lattimore was all over Amari Cooper. Their defensive line, they were only mainly bringing 4, and their defensive line was dismantling the Cowboys' offensive line, and they were just making hits. They were flying around. That's what I want to see out of our Falcons. We're better than the Saints. We can play much better than the Saints, but right now we're not playing better than the Saints. We're being outplayed, and I feel like we're being outcoached. So we have to make these adjustments. Dan Quinn, we have to start blitzing. It's no way around it. The way that we're going to throw these quarterbacks off, because I talked about it in my post-game show, we made Marcus Mariota look like he was the second coming of Steve Young or somebody. He was out there throwing the ball, sitting back in the pocket, looking pretty. We barely touched him. We had 0 sacks on Sunday. 0. They had 5 sacks and 12 quarterback hits on Sunday. We had 0 sacks on Marcus Mariota. So he had all day, and then he just got his confidence. When you give a quarterback rhythm and they build confidence, then you're in trouble. So we definitely have to step our game up, because Deshaun Watson in his next game is much better than Marcus Mariota as a passer and as a runner. He's just a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota, and he has better weapons. Hopkins is better than all of the Titans receivers. And Will Fuller is no slouch either. Will Fuller or Kenny Stills. Both of them guys can play. So we're going to really have to bring our A game in this game against the Houston Texans next game. And I will be doing a breakdown of the Houston Texans game probably tomorrow or later on in the week, either tomorrow or Friday. I will be doing another video talking about what we must do to beat the Houston Texans. But that was pretty much my recap for this last game. We must regain our confidence. The coaches must make adjustments. Dan Quinn, we must start making adjustments on the defense. On the offense, Dirk Cutter, we must get these running backs involved in the passing game. If we're going to let Brian Hill dress and be active again this week, we need to hand him the ball a couple times. Get him involved in the running game. We can have a 3-headed monster. Get Freeman a breather. Give Ito Smith a breather from time to time. And put Brian Hill in the game, or put Quadri Olesen in the game. Let's see what these guys can do. What's the point of having these running backs on the roster and they're not going to even play? That don't even make sense. That don't make no kind of sense to have these guys on the team, on the roster, holding up a roster spot if we're going to make them inactive every week. Last week, we actually had Brian Hill active, and he didn't even get 1 carry. Like, how much sense does that make? To bring him just to play special teams? No, give him some carries, especially in short yardage. If you're going to run the ball on fourth and 1, don't run with Ito Smith and with Devontae Freeman. Run with somebody with the batter around. Run with somebody that's bigger, like a Brian Hill who has a more physical running style, or Quadri Olesen. Don't try to run up the middle with 2 of the smallest backs in the league. That don't make sense. So like I said, it just comes down to coaching. We're making mental mistakes right now. Not just physical mistakes, but mental mistakes. And Dan Quinn, the season's not over. I know a lot of fans saying he's been looking defeated in his interviews and stuff like that, and his post-game press conferences. I don't blame him for feeling defeated, because it seems like he's coaching one thing, but the players are not executing what he's coaching. So it's almost impossible to answer these reporters questions. They keep asking why the team's starting off slow and why is this and why is that. But when you're not on the field, you can't really, even if he is coaching them to do the right thing, he's not the one out there holding. And trust me, in practice, they're not teaching them a technique to hold somebody. I promise you. We have like 3 former head coaches on our coaching staff this year. So none of them are teaching them techniques to hold somebody. These players are out there just not executing. So as much as people want to say fire Dan Quinn and all this nonsense, we have to go out. These players have to go out there and execute at the end of the day. And the players are even saying that when in their post-game press conferences that they're just not executing right now. Matt Ryan talked about it. He said in this first quarter of these first 4 games, we're just not executing. So we have to go out there and execute. I still believe that our team can turn it around. I still believe in our Atlanta Falcons. I still believe in Dan Quinn, to be honest. I just feel like we have to make these proper adjustments. And if we make these proper adjustments, I guarantee you on Sunday, we will win on Sunday if we can make adjustments. Because I don't feel like the Carolina Panthers are a better team than us. But sometimes it's not just about talent on paper. You have to be a team. You have to go out there and play. So in the last press conference I seen Dan Quinn have, he said that the team is going to stay out on the road. And I believe they're doing this to build camaraderie. He said that they're going to go out on the road, play the Houston Texans, and then they're not going to fly back home to Atlanta. They're going to stay out west because they got to go take on the Arizona Cardinals after that game. So these next 2 games are winnable games, and we could legitimately be sitting at 3-3 after the 6 games. If we can win the next 2 games, we can get ourselves back in the 500, and then we right back in the thick of things in the in this playoff hunt. Because if you look at the NFC right now, like I told you, I watch pretty much all of the games or a lot of the games. Unless I'm watching the Falcons game, I'm watching the other games that's on TV. And from the games that I've been watching, I don't see no dominant team in the NFC. You got the Cowboys. They were 3-0, but they end up losing to the Saints with their backup quarterback. You got the Rams. Everybody was saying like so high on the Rams. They just got blown out by the Buccaneers. You had the Saints out there. You don't really have no team that's high powered. That's like, you still have the 49ers, but really, who have the 49ers played? They really haven't played anybody. You have the Seattle Seahawks. It seems like every team that's out there either has 1 loss or 2 losses. And from week to week, as I tell everybody, the NFL is a week-to-week league. You don't really know. Teams have injuries and things happen within a season that can change your season. So the Falcons just need to get 1 win. We don't need to look down our schedule and say, well, okay, we're going to save some of these players and we're going to save some of this for the NFC games. No, we have to go in and try to win as many games as possible. So I expect us on Sunday against the Houston Texans to come out with a victory. But the way that we're going to do that is we have to humble ourselves, eat the crow that we need to eat, realize, okay, we're not as good as we thought we were yet, but now it's time to rise to the occasion. We need to rise to the occasion because now we're down 1-3. We can't afford to go 1-4. So like I said, I don't like to never say a game is a must win, but this is a must win game on Sunday against the Houston Texans. This is going to be one of the games that could possibly define our season, or whether this team is going to turn it around or whether this team is going to nosedive. And whichever way we go, I believe that we're going to rise up. We're going to rise to the occasion. But either way it goes, I'm always going to ride out for my Atlanta Falcons, y'all. That's all I have for this video. I'll have another video for y'all either Thursday or Friday about the Houston Texans. It's going to be the pregame show. And I'll have my keys to victory. I'm looking for the Falcons to turn it around. I like that Dan Quinn is already starting to make some moves. I feel like we can continue to make some more moves. Maybe we can bring in a new defensive tackle or trade one of these players. Or just pick up somebody off the waiver wire, something like that to move on to the defense to try to bolster this defense. But it's time for us to key to our details. Time for us to get ready for this Houston Texans game to go on the road. We must get our act together on the road because we haven't played well on the road this year. We've got blown out twice. Well, the Colts didn't blow us out, but it could have been a blowout. So we definitely have to get this first road victory so we can get back on the right track and get on to the Arizona Cardinals. But with that said, y'all rise up. Y'all enjoy y'all Wednesday. God bless. This is your boy Jew. As always, if you would like to donate to my Cash App and to this channel, it's the $ Jew Talk Sports. If you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, please share this in your Atlanta Falcons groups. If you're not an Atlanta Falcons fan, but you're a football fan, definitely come and subscribe to my page. Come and like my videos, because I do talk about other teams, or the teams that the Atlanta Falcons will be facing this year. So we're facing your team. You want to leave a comment down below. You can leave a comment about one of my keys to victory, or if you think I'm underestimating your team, definitely leave a comment. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at like 27 subscribers. I want to thank all of the people that's already have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If I could pay you, I would. But I do thank you for watching my videos. This is my first year doing this, and I will continue to do this because I love our Atlanta Falcons. I do it for the fan base. I do it because the press don't give us no love. Basically, it's all about the teams like the Cowboys, the Patriots, the main teams that they like to talk about. Anytime they talk about the Falcons, usually it's in a negative light. So I definitely want to bring a positive vibe to it, and I definitely want to talk about it because a lot of these guys on TV, I really don't think that they know a whole lot about the Falcons. A lot of them don't even watch the Falcons game. So I feel like it's nobody better than the fan that can go in and talk about the Atlanta Falcons and talk about the team. So I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. It's hump day, so it should be all downhill from here. This is your boy Jew. I'm out. Peace.